Hi, I originally recorded this video in French a few days ago, and then my partners, my friends, some clients, some people on social media asked me if I could do it in English, so I'm gonna give it a try. It's a little bit of a reminder of 2020 when COVID happened, and well, I didn't miss it so much, but I also love to speak my voice, and I know that it's helpful for people who don't dare to speak their voice, so I'm gonna do it again. Today, I want to talk about cancel culture and wokeism, and about choosing freedom of thoughts and reclaiming sovereignty. So what do COVID narrative since 2020, climate change narrative, and the gender confusion have in common? For me, they are all driven by mainstream media, promoting fear, division, and values that oppose common sense and heart-centered connection. Today, I want to talk about this topic, which divides opinions but also deserves reflection. So wokeism leads to extremes. Why? Because behind this movement, which once seemed to champion noble values, lies a toxic dynamic that impacts our society, our freedom of thought, and our sovereignty. I would have never imagined that one day I would need to speak on this topic, but I feel that it's the right time right now. So my own experience with cancel culture opened my eyes to the dangers of rigid collective thinking. And it's really damaging freedom of expression. Recently, I had a striking experience. I was invited to speak at an online summit about protecting the earth. And I had been originally invited by the same person 3 years ago to another summit. So this person knows me. My participation was cancelled last week after my speech had already been recorded and I had promoted the event. Why? Simply because I'm not woke. I don't abide by the lies served on a platter. At first I was shocked, but ultimately it led me to decide to speak out today. So what is wokeism? Originally, it stood for commendable values, raising awareness of injustice and promoting equality. However, the movement has been hijacked and amplified by the media, the corporations, the institutions, turning into a rigid, guilt-driven ideology. The term woke derives from wake up, initially associated with civil rights and racial equality movements in the US. However, it has taken an ideological and often dogmatic turn. It influences areas such as gender confusion, a big one. For example, a man can declare himself a woman and compete in women's sports, sometimes at the expense of biologically female athletes. To me, it also touched climate guilt. We're made to believe that us, individual citizens, are solely responsible for the climate crisis, while the major industries remain untouched. Also, let's acknowledge that the planet naturally undergoes cycles of warming and cooling, and let's speak the truth, the governments manipulate the weather. It's been going on for decades. Then wokeism also touches racial division. It exacerbates racial tensions by emphasizing differences instead of fostering genuine inclusion. And I've noticed that those who fully embrace wokeism are often educated people from privileged backgrounds and often driven by a guilt that compels them to support causes amplified by the media. These individuals frequently experience burnout. Actually, the person who interviewed me, she has zero energy, the one who's creating this summit. And these people have usually lost their sense of discernment and personal power in the process. Many of them are people pleasers, striving to be good people, but ultimately they are disconnected from their core and diluted in a sea of external expectations. We have a card to play. The future belongs to sovereign thinkers. And in my view, yes, It's us, those who are able to see through the veil of illusion and reclaim our sovereignty, who choose to embody the change they want to see in the world. For those who don't know me, I'm Anne-Claire Méret. I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I teach coaching. I'm an author of over a dozen books on natural health and coaching. I'm apolitical, I'm pro-truth, I'm pro-real health, and I stand for exposing the lies of big pharma and governments. And I stand for humanity reclaiming its sovereignty. So don't take my words for it. Form your own opinion. So what's wokeism? It's really a religion today of virtue. And at first glance, yes, it might seem to promote beautiful values like protecting the planet and fostering tolerance, but in reality, the movement uses guilt and shame as social levers. It's good to call a man dressed as a woman madam. It's bad to say that this person is a man today. Isn't it insane? It's good to spiral into anxiety over climate change. And it's not so good to acknowledge that the earth has natural warming and cooling cycle, while advocating for sustainable resource management and anticipating what could happen while speaking on, chemtrails and stuff. Any dissenting opinion is automatically labeled as oppressive or dismissed as a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, for example, when we talk about chemtrails or other weather modification projects, it's crazy. People look at us like it's not true. So I've noticed also that the people who are entrenched into wokeism often adopt a victim identity, continually reactivating past wounds that blocks their healing and growth. It perpetrates a cycle of, I fight injustice, therefore I don't need to examine myself. Wokeism also amplifies division, racial, gendered, and otherwise. Ask yourself, who benefits from this polarization? It's crazy. Social media has become a moral courtroom, with woke activists assuming the right to judge and punish. What an extraordinary era we live in. For me, it's truly an invitation to reflect on what feels right for oneself and dare to think differently. True awakening means being awake, not woke. And it's about reclaiming personal power instead of blindly following movements. To transform our lives and contribute to a better world, we must reclaim our personal power, cultivate free thoughts, and move beyond external dogmas and manipulations. For me, this is healing ourselves and embodying what we want to see transforming in society. So as a coach, I like to question things, and I like to inquire and ask other people questions too. So I'm offering to you questions today to cultivate free thoughts. First question would be, who benefits from confusion? And then who benefits from division? Who benefits from you being anxious? Who benefits from hormone treatments? Who controls the narrative of the heroes and the villains in our society? And then dive deeper. Ask yourself, do I consume media ideas without questioning them? And have I noticed that the banners on YouTube for certain topics, try climate change for example, will offer, a little paragraph from fact checkers? I invite you to check on YouTube today. And then ask yourself, how are my beliefs influenced by the media, those around me, or social networks? What has been selected for me? Then who decides what is politically correct and why? And then who do I seek to please? Or do I seek to avoid conflict when I share my ideas? Am I afraid of being judged or excluded when I say what I really think? I'm going to list the questions below because I have plenty for you. What is my personal definition of justice and equality? Do I confuse empathy with unconditional alignment to a cause? Do I let my emotions lead my conversations and decisions? So many other questions. What dogmas have I adopted without realizing it? What uncomfortable truth am I afraid to explore because my worldview might collapse and I don't want to face it? And then, decide if you want to walk your talk and align with your values and the vision that you hold dear to your heart. Ask yourself, do my actions reflect my values or the values I think I should have? What would my life look like if I would take full responsibility for my values and choices? Am I in charge of creating my happiness, or do I hold others responsible for my unhappiness? And to whom do I feel accountable? Eventually, what unconscious benefits do I gain from seeing myself as a victim or identifying as a group that says they are victims? What parts of me resist change or prefer to maintain the status quo instead of speaking up? And what concrete actions can I take to become an agent of change for what truly matters to me? How would my life look like if I were to be free? And if I would let go of some of the dogmas that I hold on to? Well, to reclaim sovereignty is to think for oneself and cultivate curiosity and act in alignment with one's deepest values. It's what it means to be truly awake and not woke. I'm going to share the questions as well as resources that I like to see, to get inspired and to think differently and ask myself, what else is possible? Is there another truth? And I also admit that when people share their truth, it helps me figure out what's my truth and gives me the courage to share it myself too. So if you've enjoyed this video, you might want to share it to your friends and family members and just, continue spreading the word that there are other truths, but also speak your own voice because it's really important. And if you'd like to know more about my work, I invite you to follow me on social media. I also teach coaching so that you can embody free thinking and dare to live the great life that you're meant to have. I wish you a beautiful day.